Every week, millions of people move home, and as it's one of the most stressful things that you'll do in life, you need to get it right. I'm Rebecca Jane, and together with the region's best property experts, we'll be giving you some top tips and expert advice, shining a spotlight on a different area from across the Midlands, and getting to know a little more about our guests and what they look for in a home. Property is ever evolving and always a fascinating subject. We'll guide you on what you need to know and what you need to look out for here on Midlands at Home. Sometimes our homes don't function the way that we would like. We need more space for growing families. Sometimes we can't create that space in our home, so we decide to move and take on a big renovation, which is exactly what my guest has done today. This property was built somewhere between 1670 and 1750. It was originally part of a farm, and then in the 1920s was converted into one building. So how did you come about finding this beautiful country property?
It was quite a funny story, actually. We were renting a property nearby, and I had been looking for around a year for the perfect property. Location really was everything, and just couldn't find it. There was always something wrong. There was always a main road running past it, or the house itself wasn't perfect. I just couldn't see a vision for the houses that I'd seen. And we just were looking out at this house. From our bedroom, we could see the front of it. And I just thought, what's the harm? Let's go and see. Let's go and ask them if they're willing to sell. And knocked at the door, asked them, and as luck would have it, they wanted to move that year and said yes.
And we hear these stories of people, finding that home, knocking the door and asking, and you're a prime example of you did that, and lo and behold, they did want to move. Amazing.
Yep, it was fate.
Yeah, it was. It was meant to be. I'm a big believer of that, Vicky.
It was brilliant because the village was exactly where we wanted to live.
Yeah.
The children go to the school nearby. The location is just gorgeous.
Perfect, yeah.
And the house, we could see immediately what could be done with it. There was so much potential.
And have you done a renovation before, or is this your first renovation?
No, we have renovated probably every single house that we've had.
Oh, really? Oh, you're a bit of a dab hand at it.
Yes, we seem to go for the old, knackered period properties that need quite a bit of work doing. But I will say this is probably the first one where we have done quite an extensive refurbishment.
Dramatic.
Yeah, very dramatic. Before it might have been we've taken the kitchen, the bathrooms out, knocked down a wall.
Yes.
Whereas this one we've really battered it, I would say.
It's a full refurb, it's a full renovation from start to finish. But it's amazing that to see that potential, isn't it? As you said, when you first saw it, instantly you had that vision, and that's so important, isn't it, with renovation to have that vision, and then it's actually carrying it through to fruition. So how did you find your builder and get an architect on board?
Recommendation, really. In the village there were quite a few people that were either building their own houses
handy
or having renovations done as well, and it really was a case of going round, having a look at people's work. We took recommendations from the architect as well, and really you sort of get a feel for the builders themselves. Can you work with them? Can you not? And it so happened, it turned out to be the best builder was a friend of ours.
Yeah, very handy.
So, yeah.
Did the prices really vary then when you look in from one builder to the next? Did you find different prices?
Yeah, they can, yeah. And I would always say, go and look at their work. That is a huge factor, because they might be the cheapest, but they might be the cheapest for a reason.
Yes.
So go and have a look at their work, really do your homework on them, and build up that rapport, because it's your house.
Yeah.
You have to be happy with the people that are in it.
That's it. And some people can talk the talk, but to actually see it firsthand, then you get that good, and like you said, gut instinct as well. So see their work, see, whether it's what you're expecting, standards and so on. And then, like you said, that rapport is really important actually, because it's hard work when you're having a renovation done. It's never easy, and you've got to get on with your builder.
Exactly. I think people underestimate actually how time consuming and how invasive it actually is. You have people in your house constantly from 8 o'clock in the morning until 5 o'clock at night. And that's really hard going. You have no privacy. They are literally there all the
That's
time.
it, you've got to look your best. 8 o'clock in the morning, ping, you're like, oh, gosh.
The water could go off, the electricity could go off at any time. You need to be ready. And with children as well, that can be hard going sometimes.
Yeah, you've got 2 young children, haven't you?
Yes, yeah, 2 children. Bless them. I think they're finding it quite hard as well because their whole rooms are being turned upside down. They're having to be moved from their bedroom into another bedroom whilst work's going on in their one. And it's, it's hard work living like this.
So it's exciting to begin with, and then it sort of takes its toll a bit, doesn't it? But let's talk about the actual property itself. It was originally a farm.
It was actually 3 farm cottages that I think it was 1920 they got knocked together to create one big house. But yes, it was a farm. It was a working farm. Where we're sitting now was actually part of the courtyard. There were barns all around us. And
I think you can see that here. Actually, we've got a picture of sort of an aerial view when you can see the farm and you can see the buildings, and they no longer exist.
No, it's completely transformed. It doesn't even look like the same plot of land. But yeah, it was 3 houses that got knocked into one, and it's quite an old house, even though there's not that many original features left. I think over time, people have taken out the bread ovens, and they weren't a la mode back in the 70s, so people took them out.
So you haven't got the listed problem when it comes to then submitting for planning? No,
and actually that was one of the factors that we considered when buying the house. It wasn't listed, so we could really put our dream into action.
Create that perfect dream home. That's the problem, isn't it? All the restrictions if it is listed. So with the planning then, how did you go about that? Did you have to get an architect on board in order to submit all those plans?
Yes, so we employed the services of an architect. He came round and really listened to what we wanted to achieve. We had ideas of our own, which he really just sort of put on paper for us, added his sort of input as well. And then just took the whole planning aspect away from us. So we didn't have to stress about that, which was great. There's so much involved with planning applications, to bat surveys, to just things that you wouldn't even consider.
And it's another hassle that it's so nice that somebody can say, actually, I'll take that off you, I'll sort out all of that, submit it. And then how long did it take for it all to be approved?
It's about 8 to 10 weeks. I think it depends really on which county you live in, which council is dealing with it. But ours is Malvern here, and yes, it was about 8 to 10 weeks until it came back approved.
And like you said, you had that vision, so you gave all your ideas and then it all sort of got put down on paper, and that's the exciting part then, isn't it? Because you know that things can then start, and then you can start seeing your dream from the very beginning.
That's right, and I think you can't underestimate how important it is to plan, because once things happen, it's quite hard then to change it when things have already been built.
And do you think that's made it a little bit easier for you then, Vicky, because you have been really good with your planning, that actually it's made things a little bit easier along the way, rather than suddenly going, oh no, I hadn't thought about that, and what can I do, and then finding out, like you said, it's too late, that fix has been done, and you can't then change your lighting or change something
Definitely.
else.
I would say take the time, and when we took months, we probably were on version 6 or 7.
Oh really?
Yeah, because you sort of look at it and you think, is that going to work? And you walk around the house as though it was already done, and sometimes it just didn't flow. And so you go back to the drawing board and change where the doorway is going to be, whereas if you had gone with your first plan, actually you've got a doorway there already, it's already been built. How are you going to now? You have to brick that up, put something else somewhere else, and it's a costly mistake to make.
Yes, that's it, definitely. Well, did you find that things were evolving along the way, or actually before something started you were able to go, oh, hold fire, let's rejig that? Did you actually do it before things started, or was it more evolving?
No, we've been quite lucky. We've really kept the communication channels open between us and the builder, and we've been able to, if things look like I don't quite like that, we've been able to sort of change it before it's permanent.
Yes, that's good.
Which has been really good. There have been a few things where I think, I really wish I hadn't done that, but very few and far between. And I think that has come from the planning beforehand.
And getting on with your builder, like you said, you've got to have that good relationship to be able to say, actually, hang fire, can we possibly do this.
That's right. Yeah. Communication, that's all I can say. You really need that with your builder when you're working on something this size for this length of time. That's this intrusive.
Yeah, definitely. Well, talk us about, so how many bedrooms is this amazing property?
It's 5 now. It was 6. But how we live our lives now, we wanted a dressing room, we wanted an extra ensuite to some of the bedrooms. So we actually used the 6th bedroom and divided it up into a dressing room, an ensuite, and changed.
I mean, how
the sort of
lovely. I think
layout.
any lady, we all want a dressing room. We want somewhere to put our shoes that we can literally, when we're going out, bags, exactly, have it all organised and give a little corner of the section there to the guys so they've got somewhere to put their stuff as well.
Well, I don't think they really get much. My husband really hasn't got much storage space at all.
Oh, is he not?
It's all mine.
Well, that's it. It's very important, isn't it? Well, after the break, we are going to be talking lots more, so don't go anywhere. I'll see you in just a few minutes. So before the break, we were talking about your beautiful home being a 6-bed, and you've now used one of those bedrooms to make an ensuite and a dressing room area, which is amazing. So it's really about creating that perfect home bespoke for you, isn't it?
It is. It's very much about how are we going to live in it rather than how are other people going to live in it. And I just think 6 bedrooms, these days people don't have that many children. We didn't need 6 bedrooms, but I did need a dressing room.
Oh, absolutely. Somewhere to put your shoes and your handbags.
So, and also we did need a guest ensuite. We already had an ensuite to the master bedroom, and we had a main bathroom, which was actually very, very small for the size of the house. And so we just felt, actually, we do need another bathroom for guests. So using that 6th bedroom actually just seemed quite a normal thing to do.
Just a better use of the space for yourselves.
Exactly.
And you, in terms of the design, I love the front of the house when you've got that beautiful oak frame.
Thank you.
And that really kind of just draws you into the property. And then let's talk through the hallway.
Well, before we had put that frame up, you used to enter the house in, again, by a very small portico, but you walked in and it was a very small, dark hall.
And that's the door you can see on the right, actually, when you see that the front of the property now, you can see it's all kind of blocked up, but that was your existing doorway.
That was, so we blocked it up, put a window in, which allowed a load of light up the stairs, which before had been very, very dark. And then we just created a very sort of symmetrical looking house with a big entrance, a big sort of welcoming area so that people could come in, have the space to take off their coats and their shoes, and really just give the house that sort of wow factor again.
It's got a lovely symmetry as well, hasn't it? Because it's got that door in the centre. So you're obviously doing the hallway, and then we go through to the kitchen, which you can see at the moment, kind of work in progress.
It is, yes.
But you can see what you're trying to create. Talk us about through to that space, and then going through to your little room, which is going to be a reading room.
That is my pride and joy. I have always wanted a library, and we had this space that actually was dead space. It wasn't doing anything.
What was it before?
It was part of the. It was part of the dining room, actually. Okay. So as you came through the old hall, you came into the dining room, which is now the entrance hall. And it was just sort of a little add-on. It didn't do anything. It was just an entrance into the family room. And we just thought, actually, we could make better use of this. And so we've rejigged openings and closed things off, and it is now a reading room. So we have...
And then that will then lead into a sitting room?
It will, yeah. That will lead into then a really big sitting room, which we are going to put an oak frame extension onto. And that is really the sort of party room, if you like. That's the room where everyone can come and just flop. So it flows much better now. It really does.
And that's the thing with older properties. They're just lots of little rooms, and that's just how houses were. They tended to have sometimes smaller kitchens, little rooms, and the idea, I think, certainly nowadays with a lot of families, we want open plan living. We want easy spaces and rejigging things so that it works for your everyday lifestyle.
That's right. It's not so formal anymore, is it? It's more informal.
Like the dining room used to have a separate dining room, whereas nowadays people are thinking, I don't really use, how many times do you use a formal dining room? So you create a big space.
Exactly. We used ours twice. We used it at Christmas and once for my birthday. And we just thought, this is crazy. We're just walking through this space. Let's use it to the best potential. And I think the house now has evolved into what it should be. Before it was 3 cottages, it was made into one.
Yeah.
Then it had lots of little rooms and it was quite a warren. And now it's just being opened up into bigger rooms that are useful and have a purpose.
Yeah, and like you said, you've made the bathroom bigger, so we can see now actually the bathroom as it is in its first fix. So talk us through what you're creating with your bathroom.
Well, initially the main bath was very small for the size of the house, and we had I think it's called a cat slide roof. And so we thought, actually, why don't we take the roof off and build a vertical extension to double the size of the bathroom? So that's what we've done, and that's obviously what you can see at the moment. So we'll go in and there'll be a vanity unit with a loo, but then you'll go through the door and we're going to have a really big shower on the one side and a beautiful bath on the other with the window overlooking these
Brilliant. Gorgeous
lovely
views, isn't it? It's stunning out here. Yeah.
So that's the plan. That's
and was it the builder that
achieve.
came along with that idea that said, actually, that roof, you don't need it, you can take it off?
No, that actually was. We had a storeroom next to the existing bathroom, but it was quite small, and we just thought, can we do something with this? And the architect said, actually,
Brilliant.
let's take the roof off and bring this up. So we've gained space, but actually not taken it away from anywhere, which is really good.
And let's talk about your fabulous bedroom. Oh my goodness. What a way to wake up in the morning when you can look out your bedroom and this is your view. It's just stunning.
Oh, we feel so happy with it. It's just beautiful to go to sleep and see the sun setting and over the fields. It's just magical. And then in the morning to wake up, and it's different every day. This morning it was very misty, it was quite magical, whereas another morning it was really sunny and really bright and you could see for miles.
And when we come back in a few months, you're actually going to talk about your balcony, because you've got the bifold doors that you can see at the moment, but you're creating a lovely glass balcony.
Yes, just so that we can really make use of that space and those views. So we're going to create I think it's sort of quite a steel looking balcony with glass around the top for the handrail. So we can create a sort of seating area and sit out there for sundowners, etc.
Gosh, it sounds amazing. So next time we'll be sat there then having a cup of coffee, looking at this gorgeous view on your balcony.
Or wine.
Or wine. That sounds like a plan. And outside, we are actually sat by a covered up swimming pool.
Yes, this was another reason actually why we bought the property. The owners had filled in this swimming pool, which is quite large.
I was going to say, it's not a small swimming pool by any stretch, is it?
No, it's. I think it will take a lot of work to
a bit of digging
to renovate it. People will be there. We'll be having a pool party to actually dig it out. I think
it's a big space, but you can see and that's the beauty, isn't it? Seeing potential, seeing what was there, and thinking, actually, if you did want to convert that back to a swimming pool, then you no doubt can.
Well, that's it. That's the plan. My husband was born in South Africa and always had a pool.
Oh, really?
And for him, this is his dream come true. He can have a pool again. I don't know about the English weather.
Well, I know, that's it. We'd have to have a lot of heating.
Definitely.
Yes. So with your pool then, I mean, that's plans for the future. You have got further plans. I mean, this is one part of the development, I suppose. You mentioned about doing an oak room off the back of the sitting room. You've got the pool. This is a house, Vicky. You've never really got to ever move again.
That's the plan.
I'll quote you in a few years' time.
Yes. We joke about the different phases. It was all going to be phase 1. It was just all going to be done in the same phase. But I suppose costs escalate and quicker than you imagine. So it sort of went to 2 phases. And we're probably on about phase 88 by now. Things sort of get pushed down the priority list.
And there are 2 things, I think, with a build that, time, they hardly ever run to time, and cost always going over budget. I mean, they say allow sort of 10%, but actually, if you're not careful, if you don't plan strategically, then actually cost just ends up going out the window.
It does, yeah.
How did you go about keeping a tight rein on that?
We've been, I suppose, quite clever in a way by knocking things off if it looks like it's going over budget.
Yeah.
So we had a list of priorities, and these things had to be done. And initially when we had the quotes in, it looked like we could get everything done, but then you sort of change your mind about things hence the planning.
Yeah.
6 plans in later, you sort of change your mind, and then tiles cost more than you expect, finishes cost more than you expect, and they creep up really quickly. So whereas everything was going to be phase 1 and we were actually going to do the kitchen, utility boot room, etc. during this phase, that's now been pushed back a year because we just, the budget just doesn't allow it.
And you don't want to kind of skimp. You do want to have sort of, the nice finishes. And you think, well, I'd rather do it right than have to sort of redo something. So.
Exactly.
Yeah.
If you're going to do it, do what you actually want to do. Just do less of it.
Yeah. And finally, Vicky, what have you learnt from this experience?
Gosh, how to make a brilliant builder's cup of tea.
Yes, it's very important. It's very important.
You make about 20 a day.
I was going to say, how many? 20 cups a day?
Yes, a lot. I would say you can't plan too much. You have to always overestimate how much it's going to cost, overestimate how long it's going to cost. Take into account the British weather. We've had appalling weather for a couple of weeks, which meant building couldn't take place outside. And again, don't underestimate how time-consuming it actually is. You are living, breathing, eating this. The dust is everywhere. It takes up all of your time. You have to live in it unless you're lucky enough to rent somewhere else whilst you're doing it. But actually, being on site has its advantages.
Of course.
You are there if a snap decision has to be made. And decisions come up about 20 or 30 times a day, and you need to be there to sort of say, that's it, I want this, I don't want that.
Yeah.
So take your time planning.
Yeah, definitely. And when are you going to be completed, in theory?
In theory, I think the actual building work should be finished in a few weeks.
Yeah.
And then it's decorating.
Brilliant. Well, we will come back and we will see your amazing transformation around about Christmas time. So thank you for joining us today.
Thank you very much for having me.
Look forward to seeing you next week for lots more on Midlands at Home. You take care.